Hey everyone, welcome to all our viewers across the world, our World Business Forum audience, and all our Chief Executive Magazine readers. I'm Martin Lindstrom, your co-host, along with my dear friend and the world's #1 leadership coach, Marshall Goldsmith. Now, Marshall is a member of the Thinkers 50 Hall of Fame and has written some of the most iconic books out there. And guess what, everyone? Today is Marshall's release date of his next, I'm sure, bestseller, The Earned Life. Lose regret, choose fulfillment. It is simply a must read. Seriously, if there's one book you have to read this year, it is The Earned Life. So keep an eye out for our special series on The Earned Life, which will run later on this month and next month, where some of the most respected icons will join us to talk about their earned life. Marshall, you must be so excited.
Oh, I'm very, very excited. Thank you so much for the little plug for my book. Yeah, very, very excited. Looking forward to it. And one of our guests today, Safi, is actually a star in the book. I talk about him in the book.
Oh, you go. There we go. We have a double plug going on. Now, listen, I have to ask you, Marshall, what did you learn through the process of writing that book?
You know, the one thing on that book that's really struck a chord on people is the problem with achievement. And we're talking to Safi a little about this. We talk about all the great things that come from achievement and the problem, especially of getting fixated on results. I've come to the conclusion, it's got to be one of the biggest problems we have in our society, at least with people I work with. I'm used to work, and you know, all these people in our coaching group, they're all hyper achievers. Well, now it's like, here's some issues that are problems with hyperachievers, and one of them is over focus on results and how it screws up your head in life.
So how do you handle that when you now have to sell millions of books not to focus on the results?
Well, that's a very good one. I've been working on it. And you know what? I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to have a good time regardless. Sell millions of books, have a good time, but don't sell. And look at it this way. I've already sold 3 million books. So let's say, do I really believe that selling 3.2 million is going to make me happier? Probably not.
Everyone listen out there. This is advice from Marshall. And listen, by the way, if you have any comments or you have any questions or anything like this, just drop a note just beneath here. And by the way, if you like this show, don't forget to press the like, the follow, or the subscribe button. Now, coming back to my little Nokia story, in fact, that interview was never aired as I left the lobby of this fancy new Nokia headquarters. A person ran from the comms department, hunted me down, demanding me to hand over my video recording. Now, perhaps they realized that the real consequence of iPhone was more severe than they thought. I guess I'll never find out. But today's conversation is all about innovation. And frankly speaking, I can't think about any better suited person to join our group today than our two guests. You know what, Marshall? You talk about Safi. You've written about him in the book. You go for it, my friend. You present. You introduce Safi.
I never introduced you yet. So anyway, I
that's okay.
You forgot. We are here with my great friend, Martin Lindstrom. Martin is the world's most interesting human being. He's the world's #1 expert on branding. He's one of the Time Magazine 100 most influential people, Thinkers 50, one of the top business thinkers in the world. He's an incredible author of biology, small data, ministry of common sense. Most important though, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's got a great sense of humor. We always have fun working together. And so, you know, very, very honored to be here with my comrade. And we have had the privilege of interviewing some of the most amazing, we've had Nobel Prize winners. We've had all these great people, authors, scientists, just brilliant people. So very, very honored to be working with my good comrade, Martin. Now, I get to introduce Safi too. This is a double happy day for me. Safi Bahcall. Safi Bahcall is a wonderful guy. He's got a BA from Harvard. He has a PhD in physics from Stanford. Now, Martin, I think Safi's IQ is roughly equal to yours and mine combined.
Yeah, I could imagine.
So Safi is a very, very smart guy. He is president of Obama's President Council on Science, or he was a member of that. He wrote a book called Loonchach, which is a fantastic book, and it was ranked #1 most recommended book by Bloomberg in terms of all business books. He's been a CEO, he's been a founder, and he has started businesses, and he's just a great guy, and he's also willing to help out. I have Safi actually work with my clients to help them out because he's got an interesting way of looking at life. And so I always have him kind of, talk to my clients and try to help them. So Safi, thank you so much for joining us. Yay.
Thanks for having me. And every time I talk to you guys, Marshall or Martin, I just feel like jumping out of my chair and running around the block. You guys have so much energy. It's like one of those, in Pulp Fiction where the guy jabs him with adrenaline. Whoa, I'm awake. I'm ready to go right now. Let me at him, coach. Let me at him.
Now, Safi, I could ask you other questions that had nothing to do with my book, but that wouldn't help me sell books. So the first question I've got to talk to you is my book. You, Safi, were part of the inspiration for the book, and you made a comment because we were talking about happiness and achievement. And can you share that comment? Because I have quoted you. By the way, today I'm on 5 podcasts. I quote you constantly on this comment. So what was your comment about happiness and achievement?
Thanks. Sure. And by the way, I really want a copy of this recording so I could forward that intro to my mother, hopefully before dinner tonight. No, the comment you mentioned, it came from, I don't know how many people listening are aware, but you do these sort of weekly, we were doing during the pandemic, these sort of weekly CEO group therapy sessions. Right. And everybody, signs up to answer the Marshall Goldsmith 6 questions. And one of those questions is, where are you? Have you done your best to be happy? What's your score 1 to 10 on the past week or, week or month or whatever? And I kept, self-grading myself as a 5, on a 1 to 10. And after maybe 2 or 3 sessions of this, Marshall, who's there on the Zoom grid, is like, listen, kid. And he's like jumping out of the Zoom grid and his hands are like, I am going to come out there and strangle you if you don't get that score up higher. Why are you a 5 every single week? You better get that score up. And I was like, oh my God, who is this guy? I had just met Marshall. We're like, okay, let me think about it. And the next person to speak was this Hall of Fame NFL player named Curtis Martin. And he went through the same questions and he gave himself a 9 or a 10 on happiness. And I noticed it was the 2nd or 3rd time in a row he's a 9 or 10 on happiness. I'm like, I asked him, I said, listen, I've worked hard my whole life, started a company, academic, all that stuff. This guy is a Hall of Fame NFL, a player, a competitor, started a private equity firm. He is no less driven than I am. No less goal-oriented, anyone who's in the Hall of Fame, yet he's a 9 or a 10 on happiness every week, and I'm a 5. So I said, Curtis, like, what's your secret? And he said, well, when I was growing up, by the time I made it to 12, half my friends were dead, and, my grandmother didn't have a place to live and so forth. And he said, like, every week, if my grandmother has a place to live, my friends are alive, my family is good, that's a 10 for me. And I realized that happiness and achievement are 2 different variables. If you think of it as a mathematician or a scientist, they're 2 axes and they're independent. They're entirely independent. You could be achieving and miserable, or you could be achieving and happy. You could be not achieving and miserable or not achieving and happy. They're just independent. And it's up to you to choose where you want to be on that one happiness axis.